Well, she left school at 17. I'd have liked her to have stayed on, but she didn't want to. She wanted to leave because a lot of her friends had left and they were getting pocket money and she wanted the same. So she left and then started work. That was when she was a baby, very chubby. That was taken at Scarborough one year, holidaying. That was taken at Blackpool, very cold, windy, got scarves on. And that's the school one, when she went to the grammar school. When he left school, he did 12 months on the farm, and he was really happy, you know, and I was happy too. And then he came home one night and he said, "Mum, I think I'll go to the pit." I think his mates were getting more money at the pit than he was on the farm, and it wasn't very nice for him, I suppose. So I said, "Well, if that's what you want, you go." I said, "But I don't like you going to the pit." But one day he went out late at night, on nights, and he hadn't come home at tea time the following day. So I went down to the phone and rang the pit up to see where he was. And they said, "Oh, don't worry. If there's anything wrong, we'll let you know." But, I mean, that isn't a lot of consolation, really.
I, Colin.
I, Donald.
That's right. I, Donald. Take thee, Pamela.
Take thee, Pamela.
To my wedded wife.
To my wedded wife.
To have and to hold.
To have and to hold.
From this day forward.
From this day forward.
For better, for worse.
For better, for worse.
For richer, for poorer.
For richer, for poorer.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health.
To love and to cherish.
To love and to cherish.
Till death us do part.
Till death us do part.
According to God's holy ordinance.
According to God's holy ordinance.
And thereto I plight thee my troth.
And thereto I plight thee my troth.
No, I mean, Jimmy, will it read yesterday?
If one man says a thing, a miner says a thing, you'd only find they all stick together. And it's not because they're clannish as such, it's because they're in common bondage.
I, Pamela.
I, Pamela.
Take thee, Donald.
Take thee, Donald.
To my wedded husband.
To my wedded husband.
To have and to hold.
To have and to hold.
From this day forward.
From this day forward.
For better, for worse.
For better, for worse.
For richer, for poorer.
For richer, for poorer.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health.
To love, cherish, and to obey.
To love, cherish, and to obey.
Till death us do part.
Till death us do part.
Oh, I was married when I was 16. 16, if my husband had been living, this Christmas I'd have been having my golden wedding, and I'm only 66. I was married at Christmas Eve, and I was maybe before I was 16. I was coming down the street one day, and my husband, as I married, the boy that I married, I was courting, and he was such a nice boy, you know, and he was so well dressed. And I had this jacket on this woman had given me, and the skirt my mother had bought me. The skirt was about 2.11. But I mean, it was enough for that day. And I was walking down the street, it was 6 o'clock at Sunday night. And I saw a man up front of me, and he was as drunk as a fiddler's fool. He couldn't stand on his feet, and he was cursing and swearing, you know, and he was waddling from one side to the other. And I looked at my chap, and I looked at this chap, and then all of a sudden I said, "That's my dad." No, that come out all of a sudden. He says, "That?" I says, "That's my dad." But anyway, it made no difference. Time went on, and time went on. My father never got no better. And I kept working, giving my mother money, what I had, and I never knew what it was to have a Sunday frock up to getting married. I used to have what folks give me. That's gospel truth. In spite of this poverty, we were happy, because I'll tell you for why. In week time, when my dad was sober, it was lovely. Every night he used to have us all singing a song, you know, one after the other, all in our turns. My mother at first, and then eldest next till it got to the last one. And nobody had happier middle of week, but when it come to Saturday night and Sunday night, well...
Specifically not to go into mine. And I wouldn't send him if it was the last job on earth. I'd sooner have him sweeping streets. That's my personal opinion.
Well, if he was sweeping streets, he'd work a lot longer hours.
Yeah, but...
he'd get a lot less money.
Yes, but listen now, this is it. I've done my share in mines, and I know what it is.
Yeah.
And my lad's definitely not going down pit if I can prevent it.
When I first started, I would have had a prejudice against my children going in pits, but now I haven't. And what I think now, I think if they're clever enough, they'll go in pits. I mean, he's 12-year-old, that's 4 years' time. And I don't think it'll be a case of sending him in pits. It'll be when he's 16, it'll be a case of if he's clever enough to go in.
I'm saying this, that if I hadn't a wife and a son to look after, who were a bigger bond than my own inconvenience or my own work, then I shouldn't work in mines 2 minutes. I'd sooner be on dole than pits.
Well, I think that's
No,
proper silly. I'm sorry, Steve. I think that's silly.
No, I don't.
Now then, I do.
I'm biased. I'm bitter. Because
Well, I'm not.
I am.
I'm not. I brought a wife and 4 kids up on Cornwood, and I'm not bitter.
And my young one's not going to have what I had. Irrespective.
Well, if he gets what I've had, if my lad gets what I've had, I'm highly satisfied.
You knocked everyone out, Eddie.
I don't know this fancy word you've got for parsons and priests, etc. They're all preaching about when you leave this world, you're going into a better world. But they all fight like bloody hell to stop in this one. No, they? It makes you think.
Well, I don't believe in reincarnation. I'm not an Hindu. I'm a Christian man. I think reincarnation is your children.
When you wake up, money buys everything, don't it? They keep telling you money don't buy health. No, well, I'll admit that, but it buys the next bloody best substitute, doesn't it?
But I don't want to go down every time I go to that pit head. I don't want to go down. I'm not frightened. Psychologically, I think it's a poor job.
I was all right. I was never rude going down the pit. I enjoyed every minute. It was hard work, but I enjoyed it.
Those whom God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. For as much as Donald and Pamela have consented together in holy wedlock, and have witnessed the same before God in this company, and thereto have given and pledged their troth either to other, and have declared the same by giving and receiving of a ring and by joining of hands, I pronounce that they be man and wife together, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
I know on our street you won't see your neighbour from one end of the day to the other, but if you're sick or you're in any trouble, you find you can't get rid of them.
Everybody seems to think, oh, you've got to travel these days, you know. You've not lived till you travel, but I don't believe that's true. Your life's what you make it. I sometimes think, oh, I'm fed up, you know, I wish I were a million miles away and that, but you never really mean it, you know. I'm happy as I am. I won't like to live anywhere else.
At midnight, that's when the Earth's supposed to turn every 24 hours on its axis. Well, that's when you hear the most noises in the mine, at midnight, when you're in working on night shift. He came to this club where we held a meeting on the Sunday evening, and he said, well, I've got a bit of good news for you chaps. He says, all right. He said, we've got control of the rock at Bamborough, Maine. Wonderful, wonderful news, that. They got control of it. This is the Sunday evening at 7 o'clock. The following Thursday, that rock burst, caved in, closed the lot up. That was only 4 days after he said they got control of it. Nobody can control that. They may as well try to control that, what's happened at Skopje in Yugoslavia. May as well try to control that. When you're down there 600 yards, mister, you've a devil of a lot of weight on top of you. It's wonderful what a proper hold, but once he starts stamping his feet, you know, you've all got to clear.
I'd like to get away from here for a bit now, for a few years anyway, wouldn't you?
I think I saw enough of the world at school in geography, to tell you the truth. I got fed up of it.
I'd like to go abroad, certainly, to see what the women are like, but... yeah.
Everybody'd like to see the world, but if everybody waited till they see the world before they got married, I think the world population would soon diminish.
Oh, I'd like to get somewhere where I could use my hands drawing, painting, but I think I missed my chance when I left school. I had the chance and I thought, no, I'd rather be working, bringing money in.
I think money is the thing. I agree with you that a good home and parents, yeah, that's an ideal thing, but money, as far as I'm concerned, I think money is a very, very handy thing to have.
It can't buy friendship, it can't buy things like that, and those are most important. You'd be no one without friends.
I'd rather be the most lonely chap and have £1 million than 1 million friends.
We've never really had a lot of money. My he's just been on dole for about 3 months, and that my mum's working like, you know, she grumbles, oh, we've never got enough money and that. Yeah, she don't covet it or anything, you know, and she'll spend it and that. She won't let us go without just for, you know, she'd rather go without than us, like. She don't covet it or worship and that, or play war, or be in a bad temper all the time because we've got it. She tries to keep cheerful, you know, and just tries to manage with what we have got.
If I didn't have any money, I may as well go out and play under a bus.
Yeah. I'll win this jackpot.
I hope you don't, man.
What are we then? Come forward.
Right then, gentlemen, there'll be 3 full houses at 5 guineas each house. And your first number is 6 and 2 and 62. By itself at number 8. Top of the house at 90. 80 at 80. 30 at 30. 215 at 25. Armful at number 5. 3 and 9 at 39. Unlucky number 13. 5 and 6 at 56.
I earn my money. I like to spend it. No good to me in the bank. I like to get it spent and have a good time with it.
I had a good steady husband. I was luckier than my mother. But, I mean, I couldn't buy things that my daughter can buy today. My daughter's got a great big car as they run. And she's got a lovely home. I'm only on pension, that, and she many a time gives me £1 for my rent.
I remember the first suit I ever had, and I earned that by not seeing daylight for 3 days per week, working 3 double shifts.
There's only one tradesman in this area worse off today than what he was then. Just one. And that's the pawnbroker. He's gone out of business.
Downing Street at number 10. 20 at 20. Clickety-click at 66. 3 and 4 at 34. All the 7s at 77. 7 and 5 at 75. Legs 11 at number 11. 4 and 2 at 42. 5 and 3 at 53. Church money, number 3. 8 and 6 at 86. By itself at number 6. 8 and 4 at 84. By itself at number 9. 3 and 5 at 35. 5 and 8 at 58. 4 and 8 at 48. House of 48.
One for you. One for you. One for you. It's all right. It's all right to come back.
Young teenage miner, he is well off. I mean, it's £20 a week sometimes I get.
Well, when I was young, and I'll tell you, I was working up Pit Top 5 days a week and half a day at Saturday. I used to go to a pub on a Sunday morning and scrub it out, so many rooms, and all legs at tables were all black-leaded, I'd to them, and I got 1 and 6 for that and my dinner. And when I got home, my mother were holding her hand out for 1 and 6. I had to give her 1 and 6 as well. Now, it's nothing for my grandson to go and ask his mum for 5 shillings and she gives it him. If she don't give it him, I do.
It wanted altering. The miners' lot did want altering. Yes. I tell you, I went to the coal face and the wages were 7 shillings a day when I went to the coal face. And not to earn that 7 shillings, you know.
Well, I fetch home about £7, and I give my mother 4, and I have 3.
My first wage was about 1 and 6 a day.
And mine was good enough for my mother, and she hasn't done so bad. Admitted we're not millionaires, but they're happy.
Oh, dear, dear. When I was a kid, if I got 2pence on a Saturday, we were doing well. Now, today, as I say, it wanted Dawson.
I just take it all as a big, huge joke, me. Because they say they've never had any money. They're forced to have had money. Else I wouldn't be here for a start. I mean, if a couple's no money, they don't have kids. Not if they've any sense, anyway. I like to think the mother and father's got some sense.
I'm going to tell you something. I think I've got the record of bringing the least wages home that anybody ever brought, funnily enough. I started to work at 14 in the pit, and one week I got 4 shifts in, and the following week I got 6 shifts in. And the week, when I first started, in 1927, I drew 1 penny per week, because I was paying back rent for the 1926 strike, do you follow?
Yeah.
And the miners had a meeting, and benevolent as they are, they agreed to give 1 penny a week to Dr. Barnardo's, you know. So that week I got 4 in. I got Faith Open Charity. Nothing. Now you tell me anybody brought less home than that. Oh, it's true.
The only way I can help my parents is by going out to work when I leave school and bringing as much brass, as much money as I can in to help them. And so I went out to work and I did my best. But today, not so. Not so. The youth of today are too much selfish. They're selfish, and some of them are rotten to the core.
Well, take it up, baby. Twist and shout. Come on, come on, come on, baby, now. Come on, work it out. Well, work it out. You know it looks so good. You know you got me going now, just like I knew you would. Well, shake it up, baby. Twist and shout. Come on, come on, come on, baby. Come on and work it out. You know you feel real good. You know you twist so fine. Come on and twist a little closer. As you know it's mine.
Are you nervous yet, Pam?
I am now, yes. I hope I won't cry. I had enough of that when I was a bridesmaid for Yvonne. I was all right when we were in the house getting ready. I was cheerful as anything, but everybody else were nervous and I was helping Yvonne get ready. We set off for the wedding, and I was all right in church. I didn't bother in church. I moved a bit, but I didn't cry or anything. And then when we were on the way to the reception, and the photographer took the photo, I was all looking at a ring, and a lump started coming to my throat. And by the time we got sat down at the table, and I was sobbing my heart out. I couldn't control myself. There were all of me crying as well. I felt a fool.
You'd got brass bands, you'd got choral societies, you'd got allotments. Where are they gone now? Most of the allotments nowadays have got running wild. And I don't know whether it's because of a full-time job, 5 days a week, you know, Saturday mornings and so forth. But in the olden days, you did find there were I don't know, something easy about life, that people seem to have more time to sit and think about their flowers, growing roses, raising pigeons. I know some chaps that are experts. They can tell you first thing from last. They used to keep books on the pigeons. I have a brother-in-law now that can tell you he keeps pigeons, and he's kept pigeons for years. And he's got every pigeon's, from birth to its death. He knows its history, its background, its father, its mother, its grandfather. You see, there are few and far between these people nowadays, Steve.
I throw my line in, and I think, well, if I get a fish on, he's at that and I'm at this. It's my wits against his. He's in his own element, isn't he? In that water. I'm here on the bank, waiting. I hook him. Now then, if he starts playing about a bit, I know what sort of a fish I've got to contend with then. But you see, some fish... Now, we'll just take a pound roach. You wouldn't believe what a fight he'll put up. Now you get a 4-pound tench or a bream. You just hook him and he comes home like an old bucket.
There was a grand treat, I remember, the first tram that came down our street when they put lines and trams. My grandfather took me and my elder sister on top of tram. And that was, I've always remembered that, because it was a treat. Because we never got no treats. Never.
It's beer around here anyway. That's the main thing that starts the fights. Somebody gets 4 pints and somebody else walks by and looks him up and down once. It might be that his shoelace is undone, but so he takes it the wrong way and says, "I'm going to kill you."
No, I don't know.
Well, good health, Don. All the best to you and your wife in the future, old mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, Don.
Well, it's your turn, Reva. We'll have your turn. It'll be your turn one day.
Taking into consideration that you've got a bit of a round chin, and the headdress you're going to wear is just that little bit top-heavy, I think we'll give you a fairly deep fringe.
Well, that means test. It'll come again if they don't watch it. Yeah, because... Oh, man, look at all these savages and others who's in country out to work. There's no colour prejudice with me at all. If a man will work, fair enough, we'll work with him. Very Italians.
Indians, all these other people, they don't come here to work. There's only one coloured man, as I knew, worked. And he worked with me a while. And he was in the First World War. And his son played for Doncaster Rovers. Charlie Williams, a coloured chap. And as nice a chap as ever pulled a shirt over his head.
All the Italians we've ever come across, my honest opinion, they're all right for making ice cream or chasing young lasses, and apart from that, they're no good at all.
I'll tell you a story about the pitman. This nigger chap, the darkie that came. Some of them skill him. Now this chap, he comes and, of course, the man in charge says, "Go along there and your mate's Frankie Jones." See? So Frank is his mate's laking. Is away. So he sees this
darky coming up, you know. Thought, well, this'll be my mate for today. And he were knocking timber out, you know, knocking steel out with hammer. And I just knocked an easy one out. But I'll have a bit of fun here, so I stuck it back up in small cover, you know, and just put it under. And when the darky come up like, he took his singlet off, hung it up. He said, "You Frankie Jones?" He said, "Yes." He says, "I work with you today." He said, "What do we do?" He said, "Well, I'll show you." So I run at this prop with his tin hat, you know, and knocked it out. And I said, "That's all you've got to do." He says, "You go up there and knock them out up there while I see to these down here." Well, after about half an hour, Sambo's coming down face, you know. "Where are you going, Sambo? Are you going home?" He says, "Aye, if I can get my singlet over my head."
Thou shalt not squander away thy daily pay by the means of pontoon, banker, or brag. Honour thy paymaster and thy quartermaster all the days of thy service, that thy credits may be even as the desert sand. 6 days shalt thou labour, and do all that thou art required to do, but verily I say unto thee, upon the 7th thou shalt do twice as much. And it shall eventually come to pass that thou art once more ordered to report back to Blighty, where thou shalt be demobilized, don civilian garments, and study the door and the drawing thereof. Here endeth the first reading. Let us pray.
What sort of presents did you get then? Any nice ones?
Oh yes, we've got some lovely ones up to press. We've got a nice dinner service from one of my aunties.
Yes.
It's 4 different size plates in it, soup plates.
Mm-hmm.
A steam iron from one of his brothers.
I have a daughter. She takes dancing lessons in Doncaster. I have a boy swims who's got a life-saving award. He's 10. That's a great age, isn't it? An old age man, him. And I have a little girl. And we both work hard, me and my wife.
There's a class prepared to work, mister, in this country, and a class prepared to let him.
You make your own life, you know. It's up to you how much you enjoy it and how much you don't. If you don't enjoy it, well, you're not trying hard enough.
Because when you weighed up the work as the salt of the earth, indeed. Without him, nothing could move. That's the trouble in this country today, mister. There's too many non-producers.
14, 4:30 at morning.
Yeah.
When I ought to be in bed.
Yeah.
4:30 at morning. My father started when he was 12. And when you come home at dinner time, there's chips, full stop. Now then, my lad will not have chips, full stop. Because he'll be educated enough to say this, that if you were having chips and fish, and you were only as intelligent as what I am, there's no demigod, you know, now.
You're never too young to be in love, and you're never too old. I think you should just get married when you feel that you do love a person enough to spend the rest of your life with him.